and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni, and this is Danny, and we have an exciting show for you tonight. We are going to be discussing the upcoming nodal transit that will be occurring on Friday, June 13th in the morning at around 7 a.m. Central and 8 a.m. Eastern.
I'm going to have to set my alarm for this because, again, we should see something quite fantastic. I can't wait to describe it, Moni. The movement happens genetically inside of us, coincident with the movement of these nodes. We live in sympathy to it, quite literally. So it's not so much that you can see it every minute of every day in exact words. It's an essence that hits us. And as a mass, the whole planet will start to move in what we'll be describing shortly.
Thank you to everyone who's watching and liking and subscribing and helping us grow. It's all really exciting, and let's get into it. The nodal position is in regards to the moon's elliptical relationship to the orbit of the Earth around the sun, and these are non-physical calculations positioned exactly opposite of one another.
They are non-physical is the point. They're theoretical spots that, since they stay the same, like every constant, they get to remain constant. Now, it's important to note, these were given to Ra. These nodal positions, Ra didn't pull out a compass and a right angle and figure it out on star maps. It was given. It was just given. Here you go.
Here's the data.
Here's the data.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the north node of the moon and the south node of the moon. And so it's this relationship, how the moon goes around the Earth while the Earth goes around the sun. So it's those two little green dots is what we're talking about here.
And to keep it easy in your head, just the north and the south of the moon. Just look at the moon and go the top and the bottom, even if that's not the spots quite exactly. Just look at it that way, so to make it easier for yourself, so you don't have to worry too much about our orbits.
Yeah, don't get lost in the details, but I like to just explain it so we have some context. So perfect. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the movement. So when we're looking at our mandala body graph, the sun and the earth move counterclockwise around the wheel, and it takes 1 year to make a full rotation. The nodes are the opposite. The nodes move clockwise around the wheel, and it takes 18 years to make a full rotation. So the nodes shift every 3 to 5 months.
Just keep clear, what we're talking about is the fact that the neutrino ocean, we've described this. We did a whole episode on it. And as this pours in upon us, this clockwise movement, along with a solar counterclockwise movement, creates a mixing zone. And so the solar stuff comes in on us from the sun, and the outer universe literally comes through these nodes of the moon, and they also impact on us, and they're mixing in opposite directions, just like a genetic pool does when it's healthy.
Yep. Yeah. I imagine one of those KitchenAid mixers, how it's swirling around and it's getting all the directions. We're the ones inside, we're being cooked up.
Yep.
As for purpose and role, the sun and the earth are the archetypes of your role. The nodes set the stage and provide the background environment. And this is all for the fulfillment of your purpose because it's done on a specific stage through a specific continuity of scenes. It is this setting of the stage that the nodes bring.
Yeah, so the nodes become independent in a way because they're carrying the light. The nodes create a direction. They move this. Well, I'm always talking about love and direction. We just did the G center, right? And we talked about that a great deal. That direction part is deeply linked to these nodes. One gives us an environment, one gives us a view, this perspective we sort of have, and there's a wide variety for humanity to have of these two things. And once you're in it and viewing it, the life moves that way. And the personality Sun Earth go ahead and live out a life in that movement. And that's the mechanic.
Yeah, I like to think of it as if life is a great stage play, you're the lead actor in your own movie, then the nodes are the set dressing, the characters that you meet. It's the environment that we are within in our own personal play of act 1, act 2, the south node is act 1, the north node is act 2 for personal natal charts. So I like to think of it as the characters and the set dressing.
Absolutely. And it is, it's a whole theater production, it's all of it. Absolutely. This movement of our nodes that pulls us, if I were reading your body graph and I'm going through the things, I'm always going to look at the nodes and point them out to you, and your head's always going to nod and be like, oh my God, that's so me, or I want that to be me, one or the other. And now, as they shift in the outer universe coming in upon us, we're going to experience that too.
Here we have a quote by Ra Uru Hu, who is the founder and teacher of the human design system, that really kind of like sets it all up and explains it. So, to really understand your nodes is to recognize the world you are intended to deal with, the environment you're intended to deal with, the kind of people who are meant to be there in the background of your life, the kind of forces that are there to provide you with exactly the right connections, the right interaction, the right education, and the right whatever, because they belong in your scene. You have the opportunity to fulfill your purpose. The potential to fulfill your purpose has to be seen against the background, because it's in that background, it's in that environment that your purpose has to be achieved.
It's so true. And just looking at it, hey, there's me. I'm always being me. And then there's me someplace with a viewing what else is going on. That's that background.
Yeah, I love it. I always love this quote, so it's always fun
Yeah,
to share it.
that's a great and it sets this up perfectly.
Yeah. Here we have the nodes that we've been in from January 30th, 2025 through June 13th. So this is the environment that we've kind of been swimming in for the past few months. So the North Node has been in gate 36, which is the darkening of the light and the gate of crisis and inexperience. The South Node has been in gate 6, which is conflict and the gate of friction. So gate 36 has the rule of cycles, which says that decline is a natural but not an enduring stage. And with the South Node in gate 6, it's the law that growth cannot exist without friction.
These two processes are so important. Sorry, go on.
And so this environment has had a lot to do with like bonding and the potential to be fertile or an open to intimacy or not. That relates to gate 6. And also there's the sense that there's no release from the emotional tension and the emotional wave, because that's both gate 6 as like the start of the emotional wave. Gate 36 is also emotional. So there's kind of like, we're just like swirling in a lot going on. So developing and finding purpose in an environment of conflict resulting in friction. So this has been like a tense and a not peaceful environment that's been full of crisis, trauma, emotional turmoil. It's been really chaos. And the lesson has really been about learning to roll with the punches and understanding that sometimes things have to fall apart before they can get put back together.
It's just so true. So this whole movement that we've been on, this was a long time. So my prediction back on January 30th, when we aired this, oh my God, that's a long time. That's almost 6 whole months.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the longest nodes, this one here.
It has been compared to the other ones.
I've
Like
never seen one quite this long. We must be in the long part of the ellipse. Anyway, so I remember predicting back when this first started, I was like, we're going to go through an emotional process of a type of chaos to a type of emotional clarity. I said, this is the 6-month ding in humanity that's going to take the various populations around the world and hone them in upon themselves, whichever, right? We can never get away from the tribal definition, nor should we try to. I mean, that's crazy. So in its largest sense, each country, for instance, is its own unique identity, and that's great, actually. Makes for all the difference that we need on this planet. And each one of them, it's gonna, if we look in all those populations, you're gonna find an enduring couple of concepts that became clear during this time. And if they didn't quite become clear during the time that this was in, their clarifying process came to a nice almost conclusion. Like it really got there. This was a time where it was gonna happen. That was my prediction. And when we see where we're going, you'll see that that worked out that way. It totally did.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely been a lot of kind of like reassessing of like who you are as a culture, as a country, like where are those parameters, where are those like borders and boundaries. Like gate 6 has a lot to do with that, especially as like the South Node, it kind of like sets the tone. And even in a most anecdotal kind of experiences, we were building this big art installation at this festival in February. And this was the first year that we actually set up a perimeter fence while we were doing the construction and the building for that prep week. We had learned from past experiences, people will come up and push up on our borders or drive onto our area, right? They'll get in the way if those borders are not delineated. And so it's like with the South Node and 6, it's like, oh, from past experiences, we learned like boundaries and borders are important. So we put up like construction fencing while we built this giant art installation, and it worked out so much better. It worked out so much
Yep.
better. Like everything was cleaner. Like this is who we are. This is who other people are. Love and respect. But it was safer. There wasn't as much of a risk as like cars driving up on into our tents
Well,
and
in
stuff.
February, we were at the beginning of this process, right? And therefore, we would have just gotten through the 6, maybe into the 5 or so. But at that point, that's the peacekeeper. The fence is just a peacekeeper.
That's
It's
funny.
literally it's no different than what the peacekeeper was, back in the old days. Again, I find emotional clarity. That's the point of this time. You go back to the 30th through till now, look at notes, check some text messages, remember a few things, right? Just go. Our history is written down at this point. Let's face it, right? No matter what, mostly. Go back and you'll see we've gone through a process. Everyone, I bet, can basically parlay in that somehow or other they're settling into a way. There's a clarity about the way. And we're talking a consciousness thing now. This emotional clarity. What was Ross' biggest thing? He was like, folks, we got to get a handle on this wave, on this emotional clarity process and becoming clean with it. One way is a destructive world and the other way isn't. And I'm saying that this process, if you look in deep, you'll find, oh my God, I've settled in on a way, or I'm narrowing in on what those ways are going to be. There's a clarity over that process rather than what would have been at the beginning, a whole, craziness over it. Craziness of inexperience and nervousness and emotional nervousness, which is right in your gut, which makes you just, oh my God, my whole body's having like emotional nervousness, panic. Yeah.
Perfect. You feel good?
Yep. Yep. Let's see where we're headed. So we got clear. No matter who you love the most, we got clear. And if you like them the most or whatever, and then suddenly you like them a little less, we still are clear about our way. There's a human way emerging. I think they keep calling that the Great Awakening, frankly.
Here we have our nodal line process. So when we look at like the sun and the earth and all the other planets, they go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up the lines, whereas the nodes, they go backwards. So the nodes start at line 6 and then they go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So for the nodal process that we've been in since end of January till June 13th, we started with the south node in 6.6, which is the peacemaker. Danny just referenced that. And this is the highest form of reason, is that life is sacred, the emotional power to end conflict, tempered by feelings and sensitivity to others. And in the past 3 months, now we're shifted into 6.1, which is retreat, and the power of regeneration that can embrace retreat as a phase and not a failure.
This whole process speaks of emotional acceptance. Humanity's emotional acceptance. That's what's been happening starting at gate 6, where everyone hopped in at this time, this highest form of reason, this end, the power to end conflict tempered by feelings and sensitivities. Well, take the power to end conflict. Our foundation moving into this that we were going to get good at was the power to end conflict. Now, that might be a lot of power, just so you know, right? There's no, right? But then tempered by our nine-centered way and this great advancing of our consciousness we see, in this plane where the great awakening type thing is happening. Everyone's waking up to what is beauty and where should we actually be. Then it becomes the role model of this, becomes this power and regeneration that can embrace the retreat. So basically, we have to retreat in order to assess this and get to this clarity. I mean, this is the gate that's part of the channel of intimacy, gate 6, and it's the part that says or uh-huh. That's what it says. And I mean, that's a powerful job on this planet. When it comes to our human sexuality, this is the gatekeeper of that. First, everything else plays its part. This is first, the gatekeeper of that human sexuality. So the power to regenerate that can embrace retreat as a phase, not a failure. That's the role model. So everyone will be saying that. Because remember, we go backwards on this. So the role model is the one, and the six becomes the foundation that our genome. It's a little bit weird because our genome is like, what the heck? The foundation's on the wrong side, right? That's all. They're just like the foundation's on the wrong side. It's on the, and it's clear, but it doesn't matter because that's where it is. It's coming in that way. We experience this enough in this nodal movement in our life to where it becomes familiar enough if you let it. So this is a beautiful thing.
And then with our North Node, we started off at the end of January in 36.6, which is justice. And this is the knowledge and attendant faith that the powers of darkness eventually destroy themselves. And then in the past few months, we've shifted down the lines to 36.1, which is resistance, the energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition.
So the nervousness that happens with gate 36, right? This nervousness is in experience, and the mind can't measure that while it's happening unless you're truly into your experiment and you witness that it takes place every time. Moni, you witness when this flares up. It's in an open center, so that's different than if it's in a defined center, obviously, but you witness it. And even if you don't know, but how often do you recognize you don't really catch it at the time? You only see it after a little bit of movement. Is that a fair statement, or sometimes you see it right away?
Depends on what it is, but yeah, sometimes I can just project or recognize something that's going on. Sometimes it's a
Yeah,
hop, skip, and a jump later on. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what happened. Like I
that's
needed to
what
like
happened. Right.
catch it to catch it.
Give yourself the, oh, that's what happened as you look at this. There's a faith here. So the foundation was basically to get faith. So our foundation that we became emotionally clear on is to have faith that the emotional power to end conflict will be tempered by feelings and sensitivities to others. And that's an enlightened, mind-centered thing if ever I freaking heard one. That's literally what it says, and by way of reason and knowledge. Yeah. And then moving down, so then what ends up being sort of this thing that will project out. So the 6-1 projects out this, hey, it's just some retreat, dude. It's all good. We're just going home. I'm going to bed. I'll be up in the morning type thing. That's all it really says. If you get it, hone it down to the 4-year-old view, the correct one. It's resistance, energy, and determination to persevere in the face of opposition. What an exalted line. Every other time, all throughout the year, as this is going through the planets, it's the other way, and this becomes the foundation. So we got tons of this of foundation and a little sprinkling of this as role model. That's huge to me. The clarity is going to come here. So as this 13th, which is right upon us, comes, it's here. This is going to have been solidified, and we'll be able to poll people and get what I was talking about. That we found a way, more of a way and an energy. It's fundamental. It feels like a clearness, an emotional motor clear. That's pretty good when that happens. And that emotional motor clear is going to move us. It's attached to the sacral, 70% of the time, anyways, one way or another. And so to persevere in the face of opposition, it's going to generate that. We're generating a wave of that that's being recognized and used for impact, period. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an intense time. Like, it's definitely been a lot of like crazy, tumultuous, like things declining, and that can be scary. But even just looking at these baselines, it's like the highest form of reason is that life is sacred, and the knowledge and attendant faith that the powers of darkness eventually destroy themselves. Life is sacred, and the powers of darkness eventually destroy themselves. Like, that's
I've
some
got
like,
goosebumps, Moni.
yeah, that's like super heavy, super powerful, super like, oh, that's some real business.
Well, think
Like,
of the name of this gate 36, darkening of the light, right? Oh
mhm.
my God. And that's how we've experienced it this whole time. And that's been the magie to it. It's what it's given us as a general hue that we think is all there is to understand by. It's not that. It's literally a make sense clarity, knowledge, and attendant faith that the powers of darkness eventually destroy themselves. That's messed up. Good. That's
Yeah,
messed up good. Yeah.
yeah, it is. I mean, it just, you can see a lot of
That's a
darkness.
foundation.
Yeah. And we were in that for a long time. Like, we were in like the first half a lot longer than like these later ones. And it's like there's been some dark stuff and some like bad people who've been caught doing very bad things. And like they're getting their comeuppance. It's like this power of darkness eventually destroys itself. The highest form of reason, that life is sacred. Like those were the foundations of this environment that we went into. And like that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. That is in our wiring. Like darkness destroys itself. Darkness can have its day. Evil can have its moment, and some bad stuff can happen, but like evil will always destroy itself. It's like that is in our wiring. And then
Even
the big
within us,
deal.
even
Yeah.
just within us, it does that.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's been a powerful time. So thanks for getting through it with me, Danny.
No, I mean, yeah, this is good. Too bad we have to move on, but this isn't even the shows for the next ones coming on. So the last thing I'll say about it is this whole process. Take a screenshot, read this because we told you here first. Seriously, what we're going to see from this as we move into what's coming, a little bit of rulership, contemplatively, I believe we're going to see a new action and an even stronger movement towards that which I keep calling a great awakening. I don't know if that's just old fashioned of me to call it that way. There's probably lots of names for this thing, but humanity's waking up. I mean, I'm just a hermit. What do I know? But I've been watching this thing forever. Forever. I've been watching these crazy humans forever at this point. And this is what I see coming. Maybe I'm just being hopeful, though. We shall see.
We shall see. Starting on June 13th and lasting until November 2nd, the North Node in Gate 22, which is grace and the gate of openness, and the South Node in 47, which is oppression and the gate of realization. So, regards to North Node in 22, this is a very emotional and individual kind of energy, and it has a deep acoustic sensitivity. And this is a very live environment, and it's both mundane and trivial ways. And this is about behavior operating correctly in a mundane framework, being in the world for the potential to mutate in that world and have the grace and knowing of how to be part of a deeply mundane plane. So it's a very mundane, trivial kind of environment.
Now, but it's now. That's its aliveness. Its aliveness is it's all right now. One of them is waiting to become spectacular and socially consequential. So
Oh,
it's constantly living this like woohoo back up to the top of the roller coaster, but just quickly, like the parasailer, he catches a wave and he's 32 feet in the air, or whatever for a minute. That's what that is.
okay, cool. That's a better explanation. Thank you. And then with gate 47 in the South Node, this is about mental conceptualization. And there are tremendous constraints in this environment and external restrictive forces. And this is the need to have a background dealing with all of these forces, to deal with all of these forces, yet at the same time be able to deal with them with grace.
This gate needs grace as its partner, or else it would just it would atrophy and die. And it's funny because I'll go backwards starting with 47. Tremendous constraints because it's processing the mental pressure from the pineal gland in the deep gray area, the pressure to translate existence and your existence and translate what the heck, whatever just was, as part of that existence is done with an amazing pressure pointing at it. So this feels pressurized. It's coming to realization. And that realization, we know it, we come to realizations all the time. And given the grace of the mundane world, luckily we don't miss much as a species. Think about it. We don't miss anything as a species. You dig deep enough, you will find someone who detailed that thing that you just abstractly thought about, most likely. And that's what this is. So this is a clarifying process yet again. We just went through an emotional process, and now we need some power. We need some new power. 22 is the individual pulse. 22 is what the collective, even the tribe, serves. Everything serves our individual definition. The individual definition is what is the I am. It is the consciousness. It is the capacity to have brand new keep showing up. The collective doesn't like brand new keeping showing up, that's for sure. And the tribe's a little antsy about that too. They're quite antsy. They might just reject, by the way. So this whole nodal process through till November, to me, says it's part of rulership. It's got the design of a social being, and to become consequential, it's got on one side in the 22 part of rulership, 47 also part of rulership, And this is the graceful side of rulership, that thing that we all know is supposed to be there. And the 47 keeps up a collective process that feels a little bit oppressive. But the thing is, we're now going to come to the mental clarity. Remember, Ra kept saying we have to finish this mental business starting in 1961, ending in 2027. We've got to get through this mental process. I think this is foreshadowing that totally, because clarity, we're not going to see this again before 2027, not including not even the flip iteration of it.
Yeah, it'd be 9
No,
years.
we won't see any of it. So this process is it. And it's showtime. Now that I think of it completely. And if we're going to go throughout the process of receiving pressure in order to start to realize stuff through this channel of abstraction, by the way, no mistake that this is our primary channel of dreaming. When this channel is lit up in your body graph, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to them anyways, but this is where the abstractness of our dream world comes alive. And
6447.
Yep, the channel, that life force to stay with the pressure that stops its oppression as the realization emerges, and then shoots over to gate 11 to become the great next idea that's so important that it's got a whole gate dedicated to stimulating everyone with it. That's that process that's yearning to unfold. So you take that yearning. 47 yearns. I have 47. I have this channel. It yearns. It yearns. Every realization yearns to share and empower the other. It just, and if I can, and the bigger it is, the more it fills my heart. It's never not that ever. And I notice it every time. I'm like, oh wow, I have great power now with that. I can do anything in those moments. That's a clarifying process that then is, I'm sorry, when the 22 finally makes touch to the gate 12 is, I don't care what anyone says, it is the most sharpest manifestory gate of them all. And I know people could say 45, 21, that we'll have a debate about that. Okay. And they certainly could say the other manifesting channel, 36 and 35, but 12 is the only one that says, I know I can. When you have this whole channel of openness, 22 to 12, and it completes that part of the circuit, 12 is a stop codon, so things end there. It's a maturation process that comes to an end. The crisis is coming up to the natural envelopment of the conclusionary process. Gate 12, I know I can as soon as I'm in the mood. Well, we just spent almost 6 whole months getting in the mood emotionally to be in the mood to have a way that our nine-centered existence can accept, and to accept it. That retreat was not permanent. We're coming right back, and that's what we're going to realize, what we're coming back to here. This will be a great time, a great profound time of being socially consequential, and each person awakening in certain ways will be putting this out into our consciousness in a big way as it relates to, hey, we're going to get clear on how to rule here. There's a new sheriff in town as it relates to a way. Because, right, there's forces out there, no, we want it all this way. We've seen that. Everyone do this, everyone do that. You know what I mean? Let's control all your money. It's like all the stuff. We're in a big, giant control experiment in a lot of ways with some dark forces. And the humans are gonna find a sharpening of the realization of what took place during what wasn't actually a crisis. It was a time of great abundance to come to our higher purpose, like Gate 6 and Gate 36 said in line 6, and to the peacekeeper. And the peacekeeper this time is all laden with a brand new Gate 2, a shiny Gate 2, love and beauty, baby. That's and communion and respect that recognizes the other. We're going to realize we're not supposed to be divided here. This 6 months, you're going to see it in the news cycles. There will be so much less division in this country. Now that I think of it,
Good.
it's a time for realizing that.
Yeah, I love this last line: to deal with all of these forces, yet at the same time be able to deal with them with grace. I think that's a beautiful environment for us to learn a lot of good lessons in.
Oh my God, yes, it's perfect. It is perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Here we have our nodal line process. going from 6 to 1. So we're going to start off with the south node in 47.6, which is futility. And this is where strength of will alone may find a way to adapt and survive, but without hope of ever overcoming the oppression. And then, yeah, this is one of those that's fixed in its detriment. Yeah, it's fixed. So that's an interesting one. And then we'll go down to 47.1, which is taking stock. And this is the ability in times of hardship of concentrating on eradicating the negative factors that have led to oppression.
Again, it's an acceptance process. We went from futility, but I guess it doesn't stay there, right? Because line one, this taking stock is, dude, if you got some rotten food, that sucks, and you didn't make your favorite meal, but you still throw it away. And then
don't get sick.
Don't get sick. And so don't get sick. What a great thing to say, Moni. Yeah, so don't get sick in the beginning, because there might be mental confusion that comes in and feels oppressive. I mean, feels deeply disorienting in a way that you think might pull you off track a little bit, or it's just you can't tell. I thought I had it. 36 comes to an end, and that there's certain clarity shows up between 6 and 36, and this might come in and disorganize all that, but it's just going to cement it, because this is the real root of rulership, not the 45-26. That was the real root of rulership, and we still need it, period. But the real root of it in our nine-centered way is on this side. Since when is confusion and grace part of rulership in the old way? They would never admit to that, and they would only fake the grace, to the people anyways. So I love that. So this movement, this ability in times of hardship of concentrating on eradicating the negative factors that have led to the oppression. That sounds like, hey, I'm dealing with it. I'm dealing with it because we found a way in 36.6. There's a way that we became emotionally clear on. Now we're going to get the mental business underway. This is a very active gate, everyone. There will be motion in this. I don't know how it'll all play out, but it'll be a slightly a confusing time to start, and totally not at the end. Our role model. So this is an interesting foundation. The foundation is like, what, huh? Woohoo! The foundation of this process is like, I don't know. And but the what we model after going through that in our stable, normally counterclockwise human way down here is the other way. So I mean, but when we get to this, our modeling of this, it's the taking stock. Hey, look at that dude. No, they take stock, man. They got it. They got it. Well, that looked like such a bit. Yeah, that was hard. It was hard. It's all good now. Right? That's what this says. We're going to take stock on our way as nine-centered beings, trying to have an awakening of sorts enough that is desperate to find harmony. Harmony. We need harmony.
And for our north node process, we're going to begin in 22.6, which is maturity. This is natural and evident leadership and authority, and the possibility in social interaction, which will result in leadership capacity. And then we'll go down the lines to 22.1, which is the second class ticket. This is ability and emotional awareness to accept and enjoy a subordinate position.
Speak softly, carry a big stick. That's what that says, in a sense. So this leadership, so the foundation of the rulership is to allow what felt a little bit like futility. It is not futility. It's just sheer realization. By the way, I threw that word futility out long ago. Even when it is futile, it's still so amusing that I don't care. And I take stock when I need to. And if I need to clear it out, I do. So this is actually a really healthy gate when you let it. And this maturity on 22, line 6, as a foundation, we're supposed to lead, and we've got the most manifestory channel by which to do it, because when the social grace comes out, what does it do? It empowers. That's why 1222 has the great capacity to be consequential right now, suddenly, in a pulse, with power, with great emotionally manifested clarity. And why wouldn't we be clear? Do you think gate 22 is interested at this moment after having come off of 36.6 and reliving all of that? No, that doesn't empower anybody. what empowers is being consequential, and the consequential sense of what 22 really brings. It's not a second class ticket in as much as it is this ability and emotional awareness to accept and enjoy. The subordinate position is just first you're hearing. You're hearing all the emotional subtleties before you decide where it's a good general listens first. This is the capacity of this person to do that. So at the very end, they're like, oh no, what do you have to say? Well, that's the modeling that comes out at the end of all of this, foundationalized through this leadership, this possibility of coming into the pulse to come to leadership. So at the end of the day, we have confusion transcended through leadership, that a second class ticket isn't a second class ticket at all. It's the wisdom, it's the emotional wisdom to wait and assess, a lot like gate 13 does, and even gate 33. Lots of waiting and assessing up there, and this does the same thing. And then 12, it okays everything. It brings it through. It allows by suddenly saying, hey, I'm in the mood, and yes, I can do that. And boom, they do it. And now that's consequential. It's almost charismatic. It's a different type of charismatic. And there's going to be fifth lines all over the place. So it's, the stranger of consequence is going to be allowed. The natural of consequence will be allowed. The talker of consequence will be allowed. The chameleon of consequence, it'll all be allowed. It'll all be the anarchist of it. It's all going to be there. So this is the intelligent rulership, finishing out that emotional process. The way I see it is there's a little bit of wildness last time in the 36-6, and it's being extruded through the 22 as it relates to the emotional aspect of it, through to something that is sharp as a tack, whose name is also caution, and it will gladly purify the whole place with fire if need be, to make it all stop and start over, because it totally wasn't in the mood. That gate 12 is sharp like that, and it can do that. So that's a process. We're going to end up purifying our old way away from us and purify ourselves into our new way. And we're going to see that as something that became clear. We're going to realize it. People will be popping like popcorn, realizing that, because they're going to be so glad to have left through the futility and start to get to the taking stock. They're just going to breathe a sigh of relief and be like, yeah, let's all get along. Yeah, definitely. Let's just, hey, dude, let's get along. Yeah, let's get along. Let's go. What about all the old stuff? Yeah, someone else made that up for us, probably. It's just, that's what I predict out of this. What do you think of that, Moni?
I love it. That sounds really nice. I love gate 22.
Me too.
I have such a love for gate. My Chiron is gate 12. So I feel like I have this extra special love of gate 22 that just gives us like grace and just like, it's okay. And you just it'll be okay.
Grace as part of rulership. Rulership as a cross that comes in. It's a right angle cross. So the people with this will be self-absorbed to start with. Actually, never mind, to start with the whole time. The whole time it stays right angle. So at 7:10 a.m. Central Standard Time, so add or subtract hours depending on where you are. For me, it'll be between 8:10 and 8:11 Eastern Time for me. Yep. What do you expect to see as this shifts? Because it's got that emotional tethering, so it feels like part of it isn't as shifty as might be, but part of it is because there's a mental process being added. It's all emotional up until this mental process.
I can speak more generally on what it feels like as the nodes are shifting. I feel like to talk about that, and then we can maybe go into the specifics of it. I love just setting a timer, right? Set it up. It's literally less than a minute. Get yourself ready and hang outside for like a minute or wherever you're going to be. And it's really neat because it generally feels like everything kind of slows down a little bit and comes to some kind of like end. Almost like if you imagine like an older movie theater that still has like the reels, it's almost like you're coming to the end of one of the film reels and you're coming to the end, and then the guy takes it off and then he puts on like the next film reel for the new movie to start up again. Yeah. And that's what it kind of feels like. It kind of feels this like whoosh, slowing down. And then there's this kind of this like nebulous in-betweeny kind of energy vibey, get some wiggles going on kind of feeling. And then it feels, 5, 10, 20 seconds, whatever later, where it starts to come back up and turn on again. And then the new film reel is rolling.
That's exactly how it works. And you know what? I just thought of a great place to watch it. I've always pointed out, hey, go someplace if you can. That's always cool, definitely. I'm going to hunt around for a couple of live feeds, things that are just live at the time. If I'm not going to go anywhere, maybe I can at least watch something and just see what I might see, you know what I mean? Or host, or someone's got their live show on and they're airing now. Yeah, just maybe that might work. So what can we expect from this? I know what we can expect in 22 and 47. I was mentioning that earlier, essentially. This sense of like, we're finally adding the mental component. It's the mental process that we've had to gain mastery on over the past 66 years. So as we're doing that, this mental process gets added because gate 47 shows up. And this is a busy, it's not, yep, it's not folly, and it's not the maddeningness of the return, you know, that's wondering, why am I here? Um, this knows it's here, and it's powerfully working on oppressive forces that pressure it to go through those very film clips. In fact, that's the example that gets used for this gate.
For
That
47.
yes, the editor that puts the film clips together that were randomly thrown from all the stuff of the past. 47 is siphoning through, sifting through the entire past of all, and literally picking parts to abstractly put together such that a realization can take place that brings us, you know, that brings us a new form of clarity. This is part of the emotional process up here, because this whole stream goes through to the 35, down that stream all the way to the 41. So technically speaking, abstract collective process is emotional. It's deeply connected with our emotional solar plex side of the body graph. And it yearns for that realization. That realization is its own little emotional high. It's not the same thing. It doesn't carry you on a wave up and down like that, but it is absolutely a powerful thing, and it's yearning to get out, and 22 is its partner. I anticipate people will sense that they're still marching in the mud at first as this rides up, as this starts up, and then as it starts to move along, they will start to take stock. And that sitting back to listen first before you capture all the various possible emotional permutations of what might been being said or acted out or shown, that's 22. It's going to have a partner in 47 to constantly keep allowing itself to be pressured to basically come to some kind of realization about what that might mean, because I got to say some words sooner or later. I can't leave it emotional the whole time. I need my outer authority to go through a confusion process. So people anticipate the growing of the sense of your own power coming to a type of authority that you can start to express. Don't be surprised when you work your way through a giant mental process this in this season through till what is it, the
November 2nd.
November. Yeah, feel yourself in that, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to gain a sharp new clarity through all of this. There's a sharpness. This 22 is not mundane. It's just suited to mundane aspects. It's not mundane. It's emotional. There's nothing mundane about it.
It just helps process.
Oh yeah, but it has a certain a sturdy, steady. Saw where it began, and the foundation of it is this great exalted place. And then as it lives it out, it calms down, and by the time it gets to the first line, its role model self is essentially, I'm good with that. I don't have to say it out loud. I can listen first. I'm powerful. That's what it says. It says, I'm powerful. And by the way, you're not going to fool me so easily, because I've been through every angle mentally of this that you can possibly think of. So this is a time of great emotional mental clarity. This is a mental emotional clarity time. That's what this is. Right? The mental emotional. And with that comes spiritual.
I love it. I love just setting this up and then seeing what you say.
Thank you, Moni. The mental emotional clarity. So 20, natural and evident leadership. Possibility and social interaction will result in leadership capacity. That possibility is a guarantee. It's not that it's a guarantee in your life. There's 8 billion of us. This is going to be happening all over the place, is all I'm getting at. And it's going to get noticed. And then it's going to be foundationalized in what I keep saying, this emotional awareness to listen, accept, and enjoy this subordinate position in the first parts of conversation before you suddenly emotionally manifest through gate 12, which is so sharp, it cuts like a knife. It's a samurai machete got it cutting through a jungle. When gate 12 says go, it'll cut through anything. So I find that incredible. And it's perfect because this is going to seem like a futility first few weeks of this, or however long it stays in the 6 and probably part of the 5. But the taking stock is going to be such a sigh of relief, and you're going to be eyeballing the fact that you already know you're going to get there sooner or later. This is mental, emotional awareness being joined up after we just got off of crisis and conflict, which was there to give us the foundation of the emotional clarity we needed first. We get the emotional clarity, and now we're about to get the mental emotional clarity. I can't wait to see what the next nodes are. Don't tell me. I don't even want to guess. I know I saw the picture, but now I'm purposely forgetting so it can be mystery. So that's what we're going to see with this. I just don't know quite what we're going to see at the time. I anticipate in that moment, if you tune in, a certain resoluteness will start to show up.
I don't know if there'll be like a sigh of relief with like shifting out of the 36-6.
Yeah.
Because there can be a heaviness there for people who are not
Thank
used
you,
to
Mona.
it.
Yeah, that too. There you go.
When
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because with 36-6, there's like a heavy emotionality crisis and friction and whatnot. But if you actually look at the chart on the left, it's not emotionally defined. Whereas it's actually kind of funny is at 7-11, when we shift the nodes with the 22 and the 47, now we will actually have emotional definition since the sun will be in gate 12. So it's funny because I feel like we're going to shift out of kind of a heavy, intense, tumultuous, kind of chaotic, crisis-y environment, and there can be like a sigh of relief. And then the resoluteness, as you're saying, as we shift into the 22-47, but also we're going to be shifting into emotional definition, which is added just like an extra variable.
Absolutely. It's important to notice that this is want. That's the name of this stream of awareness going from 39 in the root center up through the spirit of 55, the grace of 22, and into articulation, where caution gives way and articulates and becomes socially important and a social being at that time, impacting essentially. So want, and that want is very much mixed in with the personal, and that's with individual unique closenesses are more important to the 22 and the 12. One other person gets you, that's what we're going to run into a lot of. I like it. I like that. No, he gets me. She gets me. They get me. I get them. That's a type of passion that can rise out of that. Passion to be a friend, a passion to be sensitive, a passion to be what the role model and the foundation of 36 and 6 were saying in the previous slides. The whole thing ties together. Yeah, you'll notice that in the moment, a certain type of relief out of the 36. I believe we're going to have a great sense of relief, at least momentarily. Maybe we won't be able to make sense of it. Maybe it won't be so loud to many people because of all the background noise in the not so world, but
It'll be a relief because like this 36 environment has been a lot. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. So yeah, I think you're right. There'll definitely be a sigh of relief to shift out of an environment of crisis and friction and impact. And okay, maybe it's a little heady and confusing, but that grace will be really nice to be learning over the next few months.
and then people don't be surprised when through this whole process, this is almost a year-long process. It's under a year. It's like probably 10 months or whatever. It's a long process between the 36-6 and now the 22-47, right?
Yeah, because
So,
that was January 30th with
yep. I
36.
mean, it's close to a year. Just be prepared for this prediction that I'm making, that a certain resoluteness comes to us that says the emotional and the mental game has married up. And this awareness that normally ruins me because it's mental pressure, and it's so hard to deal with because most people have an open head center on the planet, all that pressure coming down from it, it's gonna turn into something that gets clear. This is the codification of the clarifying of the emotional process as articulated like only the social being can articulate, and it shows up with gate 12 in the first line. So this whole thing is meant to be, if ever there was a moment in time that humanity was meant to get the message, it's this. I mean, this is one of them anyways, for sure. So pay attention. It's just broadly practical.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's especially because it hasn't happened yet, so we can be like, hey, these are patterns of things, but then I don't know, the nodes are very like it's your environment, it's what you're going to be seeing. So I think the practical aspect of it is, I don't know, take a pause, see what's going on in your environment. If you can wake up a little earlier, hang out somewhere, just set your alarm, even if you're at work. Wherever you might be, just set that alarm for 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Eastern, wherever you're going to be, and just take a pause and just watch for a minute. Just breathe, enjoy it, see what happens, see if you can feel that like wind down and then the wind back up again of the nodal shift, and then just see over the next few months what happens. And then we'll be back here in November to do a little recap of what this nodal environment was at that point.
Yeah, we're given a great assist. That's why I sort of see this as almost spiritually aligned as well. Just like sometimes God gives us the right timing real good and it shows up. You can see it, in other words. And having gate 12 be present for the first week of this while you're getting, ready, while we're doing the intake of this new nodal intake process. Send them through personnel and get them into the intake process, right? Gate 12 will be there to articulate the way and or be cautious enough to not articulate the way, meaning hold back, like 22 would say anyways. I mean, it's not like 47's ready. It's busy. So, yeah, I've said enough. I feel good.
Good. Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you to everyone who is watching and liking and subscribing and commenting and asking questions. It's all really fun. We really appreciate you. So thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks everyone. This was a wonderful broadcast. Thank you so much.